When I graduated from the University of Montana, I went and did an internship with Land and Water Consulting, and I did my very first change application ever. Any guesses on what the name of that change application was? Ho and Low. So I started in water rights from the beginning and private property rights from the beginning, and I've since started my own water right marketing company. And I want to provide you a little background on this company so you can see the importance of private properties and the work that I'm doing across the state of Montana. So our motto is turning blue into green. So blue can be a number of things, but for me, and today specifically, what that means is water rights. Your historic claim, your private property right, that is blue. Well, green are opportunities in the market or choices in the market with those water rights. And the premise of my business is pursuing those opportunities. So the market is being defined by environmental players, agricultural players, urban players, and industrial players, and they're all presenting demand in the marketplace for this water. So how can we use markets to effectively allocate this water among these competing resources? So Hertha touched on this. I'm going to reiterate it because I think it's the foundation of the private property rights, and I think it's the foundation of this market-based approach, and that is to clearly define these assets that you have. As we know, and she alluded to, with land, it's clearly defined. Water, we're working with a completely different beast. And in the last 40 years, as was mentioned earlier, the state is trying to go through this process to clearly define these assets and these private property rights. Well, this is my map. Highlighted in yellow are all the basins that I feel water rights are clearly defined in the state of Montana. As you can see, there's not very many. So to provide just an example of this, just in the last week, I'm working on a project to help define some of these water rights. There's 7 water rights that I'm looking at. 6 of them are completely inaccurate, according to their claim abstract. So looking at this top crosshatch, that's basically what the claim abstract said where the water right is. Well, looking at historic use and going through this process of due diligence, the water right is actually what you see in the stream here. So as you can see, there's a lot of value in clearly defining these rights. And anybody in this room that has a water right or knows anybody that has a water rights, as Hertha said, begin to document your historic use and actively measure your water right because it's going to be crucial to protect those private property rights moving forward. Which moves me to my second topic, which is these barriers to choices or barriers to opportunities. There's a lot of change in the market and there's a lot of opportunities for private property right holders with water rights, but there's a number of barriers that exist. And primarily what I'm referring to is the cost and the efficiency of going through this DNRC change process. And Hertha started off on this track, and I just want to add to that, and that the state's basins where the greatest competition for resources have been closed, and they also require mitigation. And the idea behind mitigation is if you're adversely impacting another private property right holder, you need to mitigate that impact to them. Well, what I want to show you is how successful this has been. There's been 45 beneficial use applications since they put this mitigation statute in place. 3 of them have gone to final completion. And of those 3, they were all small. There's not one of them that's related to domestic development and groundwater development in closed basins. So now I want to highlight a project that I'm working on, a market example of where we want to use these clearly defined private property rights to pursue these opportunities, but are having troubles due to this barrier to the opportunities. So I'm working with the Grass Valley French Ditch Company. Any guesses where the Grass Valley French Ditch Company is? It's in Missoula, Montana. As you can see, Missoula, Montana is not quite as grassy as it was when they started the ditch company. Here's a look at the place of use of the ditch company. Highlighted in red, that's the historic agricultural irrigated lands. In the bottom right corner is the city of Missoula, Montana. In 2 years, Missoula, Montana is projected to be the biggest city in the state. As a result, this is the cadastral layer on top of their place of use. You're seeing much of this irrigation district in here, and in here is being developed. So what was historically agricultural lands is now going to urban development. And so that's the urban player and opportunity that I'm referring to. This is also now the largest prime agricultural piece of property in the county. So you have an agricultural demand and you have interest in the ditch company to preserve those agricultural lands. probably seen this in the paper a time or two. Smurfit Stone is the largest single shareholder in the ditch company that buys water from the ditch company. So you've got, once again, another player at the table that wants to buy water. And they right now are being sold, and there's two, well, not being sold, there's two offers on the table to acquire the company. Final player is the environmental player. Due to the diversion and the use of water on the landscape, there's been a number of wetlands that have been created. There's concerns from the environmental players that these wetlands are going to go away as a result of what Smurfit Stone's doing, as well as changes in the ditch company. So once again, this just highlights market opportunities that exist if you have clearly defined private property rights and a market system to create this trading. And we're actively working to create this type of system where we can achieve these objectives.